Is Fortnite relying too much on nostalgia? This is a topic that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, but not in this context. For those who don't know, Hypix just recently tweeted that we are going to be getting a permanent OG mode inside of Fortnite. Apparently, it's all Chapter 1 seasons, seasons 1 through 10. It's going to start in December, and we're going to be getting a new season each month, which means for the next 10 months, we're going to experience a new version or a returning version of OG Fortnite every single month. Now, as a huge fan of classic Fortnite, I should be ecstatic about this. I should be excited at the fact that we are going to be returning to my favorite era of Fortnite. However, if I'm being totally honest with you guys, I'm not entirely sure how to feel about this. This is a topic I could go either way on, which is why the purpose of today's video is for me to think out my position with all of you watching. On one hand, it's interesting how we could have an accurate recreation of the Chapter 1 map, not limited by the restrictions of a new storyline or month-long time frame. But on the other hand, it feels like we're cheapening the experience of OG Fortnite seasons, as well as potentially risking the integrity of main BR. I don't think the player base understands how important this decision is for Fortnite's future. I have a few concerns on how this could affect the game negatively, one of which I don't think many have considered. However, I want to make it clear that my position isn't all doom and gloom either. There is a way I think this could work. However, before we dive into that, I think we should look at all the drawbacks that could be a result of having a permanent OG mode. Fortnite has been leaning on nostalgia for a while, and although I personally don't have a problem with that, and I don't think that that's a bad thing, I do think that the way that they're doing this with this new announcement could potentially lead them down the wrong path. Last year, Season OG opened the floodgates for what could be possible when it came to returning to old Fortnite seasons. If I had to guess, I think that Season OG was probably their most successful season since Chapter 3 Season 2 when Zero Builds was introduced. This brought so many players back and showed Epic what people love most about Fortnite. And you know what they gave us in return? Fortnite Chapter 5. I know, everyone's absolute favorite chapter of all time. Now, to be fair, Chapter 5 at minimum was probably in development for about a year, and I doubt they could have predicted the success that Fortnite OG would have. However, it's this success that makes myself and a lot of other players anxious for Fortnite Chapter 6. After returning to the classic era of Fortnite for a second year in a row with Fortnite Remix, will Epic actually learn from their mistakes moving forward into Chapter 6? Now, I want you to put this detail in the back of your mind for a moment, because later on it's going to be important for why I think Fortnite OG as a permanent mode could be a problem for the game. A question I keep asking is, does Epic understand what the player base wants, and are they taking it into consideration? In many ways, I feel like Epic did do this by introducing Fortnite Reload. It always felt like the perfect way to introduce an OG-inspired mode, but made it feel different enough to where it didn't feel like it was leaning on the theme too hard. Creating POIs and having loot pools based around seasons at that time is the perfect way to take advantage of nostalgia while keeping things fresh. Also, because the gameplay loop is completely different from main Battle Royale, it doesn't feel like I'm playing a different version of the same experience. It doesn't get stale the same way that playing multiple versions of BR would. Also, Reload just feels like a way for Epic Games to cut loose when it comes to their Battle Royale format. They're not restricted by a storyline or any one specific season theme or meta. They can just add whatever it is they want to this specific mode. I think what makes Reload special is how it fuses different concepts from various chapters of Fortnite together. Now, we've yet to see them do this with map design, but I think it is inevitable. I would not be surprised at some point in the future they merge chapters 3 and 4 together, or chapters 1 and 2, or chapters 2 and 4, whatever. My point to bringing all this up is I feel like Reload is the perfect way to bring OG Fortnite back without it getting in the way of main BR or making that concept feel stale. If this new permanent OG mode comes in, I feel like it cheapens the novelty of the classic Fortnite experience. For example, I had my reservations about Fortnite Chapter 2 Remix when it was first announced. However, after playing for the last couple of days and hearing how much the game means to some of the artists put inside of Fortnite, it softened my heart to the concept and I've warmed up to it. This also means that I'm trying my hardest to enjoy and savor every moment of revisiting the Chapter 2 island. From playing with my cousin, landing at our old favorite drop spots, and revisiting old rotations, it truly feels like an experience that I'm trying to cherish. But that's only because it's here for a short time. If this was announced as a permanent mode, I wouldn't feel the need to play as often. What makes these month-long revisits so special is that they are only a month long. It encourages you to play more of the season because you are genuinely engaged with the novelty of the concept. It's like the difference between a friend that comes to town once a year and the friend you see every weekend. You love them both, but when the friend who comes once a year arrives, you do everything you can to cherish the limited time you have together. Now, outside of our dopamine rush of nostalgia being completely destroyed by being overexposed to old Fortnite, how does this negatively affect main BR? Like I said earlier, the advantage to Reload is that it's a completely different experience. It has its own dedicated player base and is a nice break from the main BR, which keeps me on the game longer. Now, many would argue that an OG base mode would do the same, that it would attract more players, be a nice break from main BR, especially if it's trash, and it would develop its own core player base. However, the issue I have is that I think it's far too similar to main BR to become effective long term. There are a few issues to consider if it is going to become a permanent mode. First, we already have an issue with bots in BR and competitive. This is a topic that Leo made a fantastic video on. You should definitely go check it out. Not to mention, you also have both of those modes for competitive as well. Then you add Reload on top of that, and then the 2 Reload competitive playlists. Now you want to add another BR mode, not to mention split it between builds and 0 builds, and if it does well, I'm quite sure we'll also have competitive modes for both. I feel like you're splitting the player base way too much, and now, in order to fill lobbies, you're going to have to put more bots in all modes. Another thing I think we should consider is that Fortnite needs to move forward culturally. Don't get me wrong, I love classic Fortnite. It's my favorite era to play, but I don't want to live in the past. Part of the charm of Fortnite is that each season/chapter is temporary. Once it's gone, it's either never coming back or won't come back for a while. Also, I think it's better for the entire player base if we all collectively have to play one version of main BR. Even when older seasons come back for a month, it accomplishes this goal perfectly. Fortnite is better when the player base is invested in playing the same version of the game, experiencing the same metas, contributing to filling the same lobbies, witnessing the same map changes. It unifies us, even when the community is divided on particular issues. Even if you don't like some of the changes or metas, it's good to have a large portion of the player base focus on one version of BR. That way, we as a community can hold Epic accountable. And listen, if you don't like main BR, you can always play a different mode like Reload or experience Creative or one of the other metaverse modes that exist. Finally, the main issue that I have with making OG a permanent mode, and the thing that I've been alluding to this entire time, is that it gives Epic an excuse not to solve issues with their main game. In some ways, I feel like Season OG's success was a curse for Fortnite. I would rather Epic make a new version of the BR that takes the best elements from OG Fortnite than just have an older version of Fortnite that I played come back permanently. If Epic has one core BR mode, it forces them to make the best version of Fortnite possible to keep the player counts high. They should continue to innovate and experiment while taking the best element from their most popular chapters and seasons. This is a concept that I've talked about before when I say that we've never actually experienced peak Fortnite. The reason for this is because Epic has never blended all their most popular ideas and concepts into one version of the game. I would love to play a version of Fortnite that introduces several old gameplay styles and mechanics while also introducing new items to those established play patterns. For example, new augments, new trap slots, a rework on side grading or upgrading weapons, new hit scan weapons. My point is we need to build upon the concepts that we have rather than always trying to create something new. My point is that introducing a permanent OG mode could have a devastating effect on Chapter 6, and in some ways, it has me a little concerned. As someone who cherishes old Fortnite but loves to experience new versions, this could prove to become lackluster to players on both sides. What it's telling me is that Epic may want to stick to their newer formula of gameplay that we didn't enjoy in Chapter 5, so in order to appease the community, they're preemptively creating this OG game mode for people that won't enjoy the new direction that Fortnite is headed. Once again, this is literally what we have Reload for. If you don't like main BR, you go play that mode. And if you can't stand Reload or main BR, go play a different game. Now guys, listen, there is something that I think is very important for me to make clear here. Let's say Epic does find a way to keep the player base high for this new OG based mode, and it doesn't take much away from BR or Reload. Even though it does cheapen the novelty of playing 1 month based modes, it would be a net positive for the game as a whole, and you can bet I'd be playing a lot. Now, in spite of this, I still want to see Fortnite move forward with new chapters that have play patterns inspired by or taken from older eras of Fortnite. I feel like that would be better for the game culturally and just from a player-based standpoint. Fortnite is a game that is constantly moving forward, although it should pay respect to its past. And that's my point here. The crux of my argument is that I want Fortnite to pay respect to its past, not stay in it. Now, to be fair to the other side of the argument, are there any advantages that I haven't mentioned yet that could prove to be beneficial to this new mode? And is there any way in my mind that I think it could work? The advantage of making this a permanent mode is that it's not rushed by being a month long. we can now have a more complete Chapter 1 experience. We also have the advantage of separating it from the main BR, which means there's no need to give this mode any major storyline significance for being introduced. I'm always open for good storytelling, but I think when it comes to introducing older eras of Fortnite, it could be a detriment to the story to always have to find a way to revisit an older Fortnite season. Also, having its own mode could have tremendous advantages to the Fortnite player base, but it has to be handled correctly, which ties me into the two suggestions that I have. The first would be to make this an LTM. Bring this back as a mode for 1 week out of every month and make this the new unvaulted mode. Also, release each season out of order, that way we don't know what to expect. This would keep it from becoming too stale, keeping the novelty of old Fortnite, while also keeping the integrity of the main Battle Royale and receiving a monthly spike in players. Now, a counterpoint here would be, well, if they do it once a month, why don't they just make it permanent? The reason is twofold. Not only will you reduce player bleed off, but you'll also keep the novelty of the mode fresh because it's temporary. Not to mention, it doesn't interfere with the main BR and makes it more exciting to see what era of Chapter 1 we're experiencing if you release them out of order. Giving the community something to look forward to while also creating a new tradition sounds like a fun way to unite the community while also paying respect to what made your game great. My second suggestion would be to bring back Chapter 1 like they intend to do it now, but don't stop there. Bring back all previous chapters and swap them out like Apex. Have a map rotation once a week between the first 4 chapters of Fortnite and their various seasons, or heck, over time, randomize the map every couple of hours. Maybe for 2 hours you play the Chapter 4 map, then you go to Chapter 2, then 1, then 3. That not only gives the player base more variety, but also keeps the game feeling fresh because in a given day, there's only so many versions of Fortnite you'll be able to experience. Keep in mind, if you not only randomize the map between chapters, but also the different seasons between the chapters, that would never get stale. You'd never know what version of Fortnite you'd be playing over a given day. I think that would create a stronger, more loyal player base, not to mention you're catering to all players from all eras of your game's history. The only issue with this is that it would get rid of the tradition of returning to an old era of Fortnite every year. However, I'm not sure that this is a tradition that Epic wanted to create in the first place. Now, there is one more possibility for what this new OG mode could be. Although it's incredibly unlikely, it is an interesting thought. It could be the case that Chapter 6 is a recreation of the Chapter 1 island, and that's what this new permanent OG mode is. After all, it looks like it's going to be sticking around for 10 months, allowing us to return to another 1-month-long season as well as the next chapter of Fortnite. This is actually a concept that I touched upon in the video up above, and if you want to know more, make sure to check that video out. That should keep you entertained until Tanks and I can get the next video out. So until then, I love y'all, and I'll catch you soon. Peace out.